I'm Sabrina Zainal, and this is Nightline, news making the headlines. 4 Malaysian peacekeepers injured in Israeli strike on Lebanon's Sidon. And Malaysia secures potential exports to China worth 3.2 billion ringgit. Good morning. We begin with this story. Several members of the Malaysian battalion MALBATT 850-12 team who just arrived in Lebanon were reportedly injured after being hit by debris from an Israeli strike in Sidon, south of the country, on Thursday. The incident has also been confirmed by Defense Minister Datuk Seri Muhammad Khalid Nordin. Now, the Lebanese Armed Forces said that the vehicle transporting the MALBATT personnel, who are part of the United Nations Interim Force in Lebanon, UNIFIL, were passing through the Awali checkpoint in Sidon when the incident occurred. It added that the Israeli strike also hit a nearby car, which caused the death of 3 civilians and wounded 3 Lebanese soldiers. UNIFIL has also confirmed the attack and stated that the peacekeepers are being treated by the Lebanese Red Cross. The first batch of MALBATT 850-12 left to Lebanon from the Subang Air Base on Wednesday as part of the country's agreement with UN for the peacekeeping mission. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim's working visit to China has generated potential exports worth 3.2 billion ringgit. This was achieved following his meeting with 30 Chinese companies from various sectors, including semiconductor, aerospace, automotive and medical devices in Shanghai on Wednesday in conjunction with the visit.
Mengatur beberapa pertemuan dengan syarikat-syarikat utama yang hadir di Shanghai untuk yang sama ada untuk mencari peluang pelaburan baru di Malaysia.
Anwar said this at a media conference with the Malaysian media on the last day of his 4-day working visit to China, which began on Monday. On Wednesday, the Prime Minister highlighted the growing interest of Chinese firms in Malaysia, describing it as a positive development. It was also revealed that the country has also secured several investments from China, with the exact amount to be announced soon. These investments are expected to contribute to higher economic growth for Malaysia this year. Anwar also noted that Malaysia and China are great friends, having maintained strong ties for 5 decades. He added that Malaysia also holds the view that China and ASEAN should continue to collaborate to further enhance the region's economy. Meanwhile, Anwar highlighted that Malaysia is committed to strengthening collaboration with China, emphasizing both trade and broader global objectives. He expressed this during his courtesy call on Chinese President Xi Jinping at the Great Hall of People in Beijing on Thursday. Anwar also extended an invitation to Xi to attend the ASEAN Summit and the ASEAN Gulf Cooperation Council (GCC) plus China Summit in Kuala Lumpur next year. The invitation aligns with Malaysia's role as chair of ASEAN in 2025. He also expressed his gratitude for China's continued support and emphasized the importance of shared values and vision between the two nations. Earlier, Anwar, who is also the finance minister, visited the Huawei Executive Briefing Center in Beijing and was welcomed by Huawei's senior leadership, who guided him through the company's various technological advancements before proceeding to a high-level meeting with the Huawei delegation. He then headed to Peking University, where he delivered a public lecture titled Bridging Futures, Strengthening Malaysia-China Relations and ASEAN Centrality in a Shifting Global Order. During the lecture, Anwar lauded China's achievements in digital transformation, artificial intelligence, green energy and poverty alleviation, and expressed admiration for Xi's commitment to justice and multilateralism. Now, Anwar has reaffirmed Malaysia's commitment to its regional partners in ASEAN despite the country's strengthening ties with China. Addressing concerns that Malaysia may be leaning more towards China, Anwar stressed that ASEAN remains Malaysia's closest ally.
Kita ni memihak kepada dekat. ASEAN ni jiran dekat. Jadi kita tentunya lebih kuat hubungan dengan ASEAN. Kemudian selain itu China, Jepun, Korea. Sebelah sana India, kemudian Australia, New Zealand. Jadi untuk saya kita teruskan siapa yang sambut baik, cara positif tentunya dia lebih dekat.
Anwar also said that Malaysia's close relationship with China does not mean the country is aligning itself with any particular party, especially in matters of leadership, investment and trade. Giving an example, he highlighted that Malaysia's relationship with the United States is particularly strong in the area of data center investments. At the same time, beyond trade, Malaysia and China align on several global issues, including the crisis in Gaza. The proposed home detention law would only apply to individuals who are under remand and awaiting trial. Under the bill, serious crimes that are punishable by death and life imprisonment would not be eligible for house arrest. Home Minister Datuk Sri Saifuddin Nasution Ismail told the Dewan Rakyat on Thursday that home detention would not apply for serious offences carrying a jail sentence of 10 years or more. Other excluded offences include those related to national security, domestic violence, crimes against children, drug trafficking, and offences involving mandatory caning. He explained that the move would help reduce overcrowding in prisons. As of Wednesday, there are 87,229 inmates across all prisons in the country, exceeding their intended capacity of 74,000. Saifuddin also highlighted that the overcrowding is partly due to a significant number of individuals held on remand and those who have yet to be convicted.
Hasrat kami ialah memberi kuasa kepada mahkamah untuk menimbang kemudian memerintahkan bahawa yang ditahan reman ini hendaklah ditahan reman di rumah dan dipakaikan device sehingga tarikh pembicaraannya.
Saifuddin clarified that the proposed law would not apply to individuals who have been convicted. However, this could change if members of parliament propose amendments during the tabling of the bill. He added that his ministry will also hold engagement sessions with all relevant stakeholders to gather input for drafting the home detention law. Now, the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission, MACC, has identified several suspicious financial transactions involving fashion valet Sendirian Berhad. This is based on the investigation conducted so far concerning investment losses amounting to 43.9 million ringgit sustained by Khazanah Nasional Berhad and Permodalan Nasional Berhad PNB. MACC Chief Commissioner Tan Sri Azam Baki said that these suspicious transactions made to a company linked to the founding partner of Fashion Valet have been detected from 2018 until last year. It was discovered after the graft busters seized about 60 boxes of financial documents from the company, Khazanah and PNB.
Sedangkan lanjut bahagian siasatan dan bahagian accounting forensik masih lagi diteruskan dan ada dokumen yang di polisi itu. Dan kita melihat kepada aliran punca kewangan dan juga sebab-sebab kemasukan dan ke mana wang itu dibelanjakan bagi melihat adakah terdapat unsur-unsur jenayah rasuah ataupun kesalahan lain.
Azam added that the Fashion Valet founders were not detained at the moment and are giving their full cooperation to the MACC. Earlier on Thursday, Datuk Fazaruddin Shah Anwar and his wife, Datin Vivi Yusof, were present at the MACC headquarters in Putrajaya to resume the statement-taking process relating to the probe that entered its third day. Meanwhile, the Public Accounts Committee, PAC, will commence proceedings next month regarding the 43.9 million ringgit loss in public funds. Its chairman, Datuk Mas Ermiati Samsudin, said that the PAC will also call upon Khazanah and PNB to discuss the losses incurred. In other news, 5 men, including a member of the Pahang royalty and a policeman, were jointly charged in the Kuantan Magistrates Court on Thursday with voluntarily causing hurt by dangerous means to a road maintenance worker. All 5 pleaded not guilty before Magistrate Raja Nur Shuziana Shakila Raja Mamat. 20-year-old Tengku Edi Akasha Tengku Abdul Rahman, 44-year-old policeman Muhammad Fauzi Mat Nur, 32-year-old Muhammad Taufik Daud, 39-year-old Nik Nurisham Effendi Nik Muhammad Zani, and 38-year-old Khairul Azhar Rosli were accused of intentionally injuring 44-year-old alias Awang on his right thigh with a knife at a horse stable in Jalan Teluk Sisik, Kuantan on June 6. The charge, framed under the Penal Code, provides a maximum of 10 years imprisonment along with a fine or whipping upon on conviction. The court allowed a 7,000 ringgit bail with one surety for each of the accused and set December 11th for case mention. In Pulau Pinang, a man and his daughter were stabbed to death at an apartment by a man allegedly angered after his romantic advances were rejected. The incident happened at about 12:54 p.m. at an apartment in Bandar Baru Farlim, Air Hitam, on Thursday. In a statement, State Police Chief Dato' Hamzah Ahmad said the authorities were alerted of the incident after a suspicious man wielding a knife was spotted at the apartment. Upon arrival, police found 3 individuals, all locals, lying on the floor in front of the apartment's lift lobby. The victims, a 62-year-old man and his 30-year-old daughter, were confirmed dead from severe stab wounds, while the 32-year-old male suspect who had slashed and stabbed himself was detained and sent to the Pulau Pinang hospital for treatment. Police also seized the knife which was used to stab the victims, and the case is being investigated under the Penal Code for murder. Now, neither ministers nor their deputies were involved in the selection of U-Mobile Sendirian Berhad as Malaysia's second 5G network provider. Communications Minister Fahmi Fadzil pointed out that the Malaysian Communications and Multimedia Commission, MCMC, had conducted the selection process independently. Speaking in the Dewan Rakyat on Thursday, Fahmi said the selection was done through a tender process and not a direct award, and the decision was made based on various factors.
Kerajaan melalui Suruhanjaya Komunikasi dan Multimedia Malaysia ataupun MCMC telah melaksanakan proses terperinci dari aspek teknikal dan komersial untuk memilih pengendali rangkaian mudah alih ataupun Mobile Network Operator MNO yang akan melaksanakan rangkaian 5G kedua Malaysia.
Fahmi also explained that foreign equity holdings in U-Mobile are within the compliance range of the special license conditions issued to the company. He added that the telecommunications company has also pledged to reducing foreign holdings to 20%. Last Friday, MCMC announced the selection of U-Mobile as the second 5G network service provider, whereby the company would be allowed to collaborate with other ecosystem partners subject to MCMC's approval. The narrowing of interest rate differentials between Malaysia and advanced economies could benefit the ringgit despite volatility in global financial markets. Bank Negara Malaysia Governor Datuk Seri Abdul Rashid Ghaffur said geopolitical developments, changes in monetary policy by global central banks, and more recently, the just concluded U.S. elections have led to heightened volatility in global financial markets this year.
We are also closely monitoring global developments and stand ready to manage any spillover to domestic markets, including by ensuring sufficient liquidity in the domestic foreign exchange market. Nevertheless, what remains constant is that the domestic landscape remains on firm footing owing to the country's solid economic prospects and fundamentals.
2, 1.
Abdul Rashid said this in his opening remarks at the launch of the Invest Malaysia portal in Kuala Lumpur on Thursday. He added that the sound economic fundamentals and the highly diversified economic structure have created a highly fertile environment for growth, which will also lend enduring support to the ringgit. He also noted that Malaysia has and continues to deliver resilient growth performance, averaging 4.3% since 2011, higher relative to regional economies and rating peers. Now, the Bank of England, BOE, cut interest rates on Thursday for only the second time since 2020 and said future reductions were likely to be gradual, seeing higher inflation and growth after the new government's first budget. The Monetary Policy Committee voted 8-1 to cut interest rates to 4.75% from 5%. The BOE's cautious language on the future interest rate cuts was similar to previous months, in keeping with investors' view that it is likely to cut interest rates more slowly than the European Central Bank. In the meantime, the BOE said inflation was likely to rise to around 2.5% by the end of this year from 1.7% in September. Selangor suffer first ACL defeat. Sports action after this breather.
Mungkin hadiah juga dari dia untuk saya.
Berusaha jugalah kalau boleh nak umur sendiri ya.
Ribuan terima kasih, bagi saya satu hadiah besar.
Mak kita dah tunggu lama dah, rumah baru.
Gembira benar. Marilah dianjur kasih ni dengan POTMB ni memang TikTok lah sini selesa sangat.
Kekal cakna, kekal sihat. Hello Doktor merungkai pelbagai persoalan kesihatan anda.
Penyakit kronik, pemakanan, kesihatan mental, semuanya demi kesejahteraan anda.
Setiap minggu bersama tenaga pakar kesihatan terbaik Malaysia, segalanya terjawab dalam Hello Doktor setiap Ahad
5.30 petang di TV3
dan stream juga melalui Tonton.
Apa yang kelakar sangat tu, Kak? Ni tengah tengok drama baru dekat Tonton ni. Macam seronok je cerita ni. Kalau nak tengok kat TV, boleh tak?
Boleh je, Mak. Cari aplikasi Tonton. Dah jumpa tu, tinggal buat turun je. Dah buka Tonton, tekan butang sign in, nanti dia keluar macam ni. Dia ada bagi link. Tapi nak senang, imbas je kod QR ni. Masukkan je ID dengan password. Sekarang ni tinggal cari snack dan main drama.
Yang lebih muda ke yang lebih berusia? Peninglah.
Awak ni apa jodoh ke? Mana satu pilihan anda? Daripada sebatang pokok pisang boleh dijadikan pelbagai menu masakan. Gulai pisang ikan masin masak lemak umbut, kerabu jantung pisang. Ya Allah, sedapnya.
Pening juga kalau berhadapan dengan keluarga yang toksik.
Sejauh mana dia boleh memberi kesan kepada mental?
Kenapa sekarang ni semua orang mudah untuk meleraikan ikatan perkahwinan?
Cerai, penyudah atau masih ada harapan?
Bagaimana pula dengan pasangan anak mak?
Itu kena tunggulah hari Jumaat.
Semuanya di WHTV3
dan anda boleh stream di Tonton.
Thanks for staying with us. Sports now, badminton, the 2024 Korea Masters. In a clash of former world champions, national men's doubles shuttlers Erin Chia, So Woo-yik came out on top over homesters Ko Sung-hyun, Shin Baek-chol to march into the quarterfinals on Thursday. The 2022 world champions needed only 32 minutes to come away with a straight sets 21-18, 21-17 win over 2014 world title winners Sung-hyun, Baek-chol in their round of 16 clash. Erin Woo-yik will now take on another home duo, Kim Jae-hyun, Lee Sang-won, in the last 8 on Friday. Meanwhile, Malaysia's challenge in the men's singles came to an end after Jackie Kop Jin-hong went down 20-22, 14-21 to Japan's Takuma Obayashi. Turning to football now, the 2024 AFC Champions League 2. Selangor FC failed to continue their winning momentum after losing 1-0 to South Korea's Jeonbuk Hyundai Motors FC in the Group H clash on Thursday night. Selangor, who came into the match with 2 wins and a draw, found the home team a handful right from the start. It was no surprise then when the South Korean side, who lost the reverse fixture 2-1 to Selangor last month, got their winner in the 22nd minute through a header by Orobo Tiago from a corner kick. The defeat means that Selangor, under interim coach Abdi Hassan, have dropped to second spot in Group H with 7 points after 4 matches, while Jeonbuk moved to the top of the group with 9 points. Still on the AFC Champions League 2, Sokot Sikaleshi's first half hat-trick powered Tractor FC to a 7-0 defeat of Tajikistan's FC Ravshan as the side from Iran booked their place in the knockout rounds.
Tractor drew the first blood in the 4th minute when Kolmurod Nazarov headed the ball into his own net from Ricardo Alves' corner. Chukaleshi extended the advantage 10 minutes later when he lifted a clever finish over Ravshan's keeper, Yevhen Hritsenko. The Albanian netted his second after converting from the spot in the 25th minute before completing his hat-trick 2 minutes later with a clinical first-time strike following Daniel Esmelifar's curling cross. Tractor made it 5-0 in the first half's added time when Amir Hossein Zadeh struck a powerful shot into the top corner, with skipper Alves scoring from the spot for Tractor's 6 in the 49th minute. Hossein Zadeh put the icing on the cake when he netted his second of the game with a right foot finish 20 minutes from time, sending the Iranians to the top of the group with 9 points.
2024 U.S. elections. Harris ready for peaceful transfer of power. The details when Nightline returns.
Yang lebih muda ke yang lebih berusia? Pening lah.
Awak-awak ni apa jodoh ke? Mana satu pilihan anda? Daripada sebatang pokok pisang boleh dijadikan pelbagai menu masakan. Gulai pisang ikan masin masak lemak umbut, kerabu jantung pisang. Ya Allah, sedapnya.
Pening juga kalau berhadapan dengan keluarga yang toksik.
Sejauh mana dia boleh memberi kesan kepada mental? Kenapa sekarang ni semua orang mudah untuk meleraikan ikatan perkahwinan? Cerai, penyudah atau masih ada harapan? Bagaimana pula dengan pasangan anak mak? Itu kena tunggulah hari Jumaat.
Semuanya di WHI TV 3.
Dan anda boleh stream di Tonton.
A woman's spirit is boundless.
So grab your coffee cups and wear your sassiest smile. Because this season, we're louder than ever.
We talk career, health, finance,
relationships, and everything in between. Women's Talk is here to empower and inspire you. Join us on Women's Talk every Saturday, 5 p.m. only on TV3 and stream now on Tonton.
Saya amat duka cita lah kerana isteri saya tiap-tiap hari mencuci kaki saya dan mengangkat saya untuk mandi kerana saya dah tak boleh buat apa tu, tak boleh berjalan.
Saya bersyukur Tuhan uji saya sampai tahap ni, saya Alhamdulillah. Saya terima seadanya.
Guys, dekat Tonton ada pelbagai drama dan filem Korea nombor 1. Seronoknya layan OPA sampai pagi. Muat turun aplikasi Tonton, semua favourite anda ada di sini.
We're back with foreign news now. While Donald Trump has already claimed a decisive victory in the Electoral College, votes are still being tallied in the swing states of Arizona and Nevada, which have yet to be called. In Arizona, Trump led Kamala Harris by more than 5 percentage points, with 70% of the votes counted, while in Nevada, he led Harris by about 4 percentage points, with 94% of the votes in. If Trump stays on track and wins both states, he will have swept all 7 swing states, giving him a total of 312 electoral votes compared with Harris's 226. Trump will be officially sworn in as president at the inauguration ceremony on assuming the powers and responsibilities of the presidency on January 20th, 2025. Earlier, defeated Democratic candidate Kamala Harris urged her supporters to accept Trump's White House victory while telling them to never give up fighting for their ideals. At a concession speech in Washington, D.C., the U.S. Vice President acknowledged that the outcome of the election was not what they wanted, but insisted there must be a peaceful transfer of power.
Only when it is dark enough can you see the stars. I know many people feel like we are entering a dark time, but for the benefit of us all, I hope that is not the case. But here's the thing, America, if it is, let us fill the sky with the light of a brilliant, brilliant billion of stars. The light of optimism, of faith, of truth, and service.
Harris also told the crowd not to despair and pledged to continue fighting for women's rights and to fight for the dignity that all people deserve. Her crowd was joined by former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, aides in President Joe Biden's White House, and thousands of fans. Harris's address on Wednesday afternoon was the first time she had spoken to her supporters since Republican candidate Trump won the race. Now, Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu was one of the first to congratulate Trump and has previously called him Israel's best ever friend in the White House. Trump previously scrapped a U.S. nuclear deal with Iran that Israel opposed and recognized Jerusalem as Israel's capital. So will Trump's victory lead to Israel pushing further in Gaza? We have with us now geostrategist Professor Azmi Hassan to share his insight. Thank you for joining us, Professor. Professor, how does Trump's victory affect the Muslim world?
Well, even though Trump, during his 45th president, demonstrated that he's biased toward Israel, for example, moving U.S. embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, but I guess what's happening in Gaza, and also during his victory speech, he did mention, he thanked the Muslim American or the Arab American voters in Michigan voting for him. And that's the reason why he won Michigan. That's his argument. The argument also is that he wants to demonstrate to the world, not only for domestic audience, that he has the support of the Muslim American. So in this thing, I guess, if you put Gaza, what's happening in Gaza, and his victory speech, thanking the Muslim voters, I guess he looked at the Muslim world as a whole, I think, in a better perspective. So I guess even though Malaysia is an ardent supporter of Palestine, I think Trump would have understood, and there wouldn't be any negative impact on Trump, on Malaysia, and also on the Muslim world.
All right, Professor, some argue that sexism and even racism have caused Harris to suffer such a huge defeat. Joe Biden could also be the reason why Americans lost their confidence towards Democrats. So how do you see this, Professor?
I think, well, it's all about the economy. And Trump, when talk about economy, how to beat the inflation, how to put more money on to the citizens of American, I guess. He said it in a nice way. He said it convincingly. He said it as if he knew what to do. Compared to Kamala, when asked about her economic policies, she was just answering the question in a Mandarin type. Just skipping here, not very convincing. So I would say that it's not about abortion. It's not about gender rights, but it's about economy. And Trump promised that to make America in a better shape, to put more money by cutting interest rates. So I would say that these are the main factors. And these are the factors pre-election. And when the exit poll was done, it was the economy too, that the first in mind of voters. Abortion, yes. The rights of the woman, it is important, but I think that the economic factors really override everything. I think that's the reason why overwhelmingly Trump won, not in terms of electoral votes, but also in terms of popularity votes. It's all about economy, and Trump really understands that.
All right, thank you so much for those insights, Professor. Over in Germany, the ruling three-party coalition has collapsed after Chancellor Olaf Scholz fired his finance minister, paving the way for an early election and triggering political chaos in Europe's largest economy. After sacking his finance minister, Christian Lindner, of the Free Democrats FDP party on Wednesday, Scholz was expected to head a minority government with his Social Democrats and the Greens. Scholz said he fired Lindner for his obstructive behavior on budget disputes, accusing the minister of putting party before country and blocking legislation on spurious grounds. The chancellor will hold a confidence vote in January, which he would likely lose, triggering new elections by the end of March, 6 months ahead of elections originally scheduled for September. Moving on, the Zionist forces stepped up bombardment across the Gaza Strip on Thursday and ordered more evacuations, creating a fresh wave of displacement from northern Gaza, to which Palestinians fear they will not be able to return. According to Palestinian health officials, at least 12 people had been killed and several others wounded in a Zionist airstrike on a school housing displaced families in Shati refugee camp in Gaza City. However, there was no immediate comment from the Zionist regime. As Zionist tanks advanced in Beit Lahia a month into a new push on northern Gaza, dozens of families streamed out, arriving at schools and other shelters in Gaza City. Meanwhile, the Zionist regime bombed Beirut overnight after Lebanon's public health reported 40 people were killed in aerial bombardments of areas in eastern Lebanon's Bekaa Valley and Baalbek City. Nightline draws to a close this time around. Before we leave, let's take a look at visuals of the annual tradition in Autry St. Mary, where flaming tar barrels were carried through the streets. The tradition is celebrated yearly in the southwestern English town. With that, I'm Sabrina Zainal. Thank you for tuning in and stay safe, Malaysia.